So now we've seen a little glimpse inside what it takes to be a buyer. How about the seller? What does the seller do right now?
Yeah, so the seller, it's interesting because I would say well, let's back up. So when I'm sitting down and talking to a new seller, the first and foremost is always what's important to the seller. So, there's going to be a market range and we'll talk about numbers. But what I find in my business a lot of times, it's when do you want to move? If you move, do you have another place to go? What's your, how does the end scenario look for you? And so oftentimes we work backwards. So sometimes it's, let's take advantage of this market and we want to see some speed and let's get it listed right away and take advantage of all the buyers that are out there right now. Sometimes we take a step back and say, your home is great, but let's put a little money, effort, time into it and update it and have it be really capture the move-in ready buyer. There's such a high premium for homes that are updated, clean, move-in ready, that buyers will pay a premium significantly over any investment. And I have a couple of programs that are great because my sellers can do those updates without having to pay for any cost until closing. So we kind of go those two paths. So I've had both recently. I had an estate sale that we did nothing except cleaning. And we've talked in past conversations about cleaning makes all the difference. So, having it professionally cleaned, some pressure washing, and then it was just a blank 1960s canvas for someone to come in and decide what they want to do with. And then we've gone other routes of your pre-renovation is, $425,000. We get a bid, we put $80,000 into a house and listed and sold for, they ended up netting like $175,000 more than if they had done nothing in the first place. So, we take those two paths and then it's about presenting it to the public with professional photography, with your 3D tours, with your video tours, and then creating an offer review date so all buyers can come tour the house, make their best offers, get their pre-approvals all done, and have the option of laying out, okay, seller, which is the best offer for you?
Right.
And that's where you see that I would say even when offers are written and waiving financing contingencies, it's less about what the seller wants or needs. Sometimes that's true because time or there are other considerations. Oftentimes it's the buyers are literally competing against each other in the most creative terms that they need to and the skill of the agent. So sometimes we get great priced offers with very all over the place terms. Sometimes you get great terms with not great prices. And then sometimes what you see is just literally buyers and agents making up new things like, releasing earnest money. For my recent transaction I had, the buyer had written in that they would literally give an additional, I think it was $5,000 just for accepting the offer above the escalation clause. So it was just a signing bonus. They weren't the top offer, but I thought, well, that's a new creative one. So buyers are out there getting really creative. And then the sellers get this buffet to choose from.
Right.
And then get to weigh the contingencies and negotiate what they like out of the offer. And sometimes you go back to the top couple of offers and have them strengthen the offers or shore things up a little bit. And
it's a whole different world from back in the Great Recession when the sellers were giving cars and other things to go with their house. And now,
please come show my house as a listing agent, So
what about the seller that, time, is of the essence to them. And they need to get the most money because they are retiring, but they want to move into like a very expensive assisted living place, right? And now we've seen those costs go up as well.
Oh yeah,
$8,000 to $10,000 a month for a very, reputable. So how would you? But they need, the money really within like the next 30 to 45 days. Like, how would you advise them to proceed?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question because I think right now, and just what we have to rely on is past trends. That's all we have, right?
Yeah.
Because we like to predict the future, but we never know.
We're bad at it.
Yeah. There's things like, if anyone was a betting person, who would have said a pandemic would have created the hottest real estate market we've seen in 20 years, right?
Right.
Or ever, maybe even is a better way to say that. So I think for that kind of seller, I think it would be speed to market. I think that what we know right now is getting the home on the market. So clean, prepped, doing what you needed to do, whether they're living there or they had a place temporarily to go. We know there is an abundance of buyers. Interest rates, even though they're going up a tick, they're not significant. They're not to the point that it's pushing people out of affordability, whatever affordability means anymore, right? It's not bumping people out of being able to buy. A lot of the buyers have very deep pockets to rely on, whether those are stock options or they're just high paid tech workers or whatnot. And I would say, let's get it ready. Let's get it clean and simplified, and get it on the market, because all we know is right now we are in a fantastic seller's market.